Hi, I'm Paul Warren.
And I'm Ryan Klein.
And this is another episode of SEO is Dead and Other Lies. How are you doing on this wonderful day, Ryan?
I'm great. I'm hanging out at my buddy's place in Moonachie, New Jersey. Way up north. I'm holding the mic, holding up a pop filter, and hopefully I sound as good as possible for this wonderful podcast tonight.
What are you doing in New Jersey?
I've just been doing back-to-back meetings for the past 48 hours. That's what I'm doing here.
Well, what a place to do it in Moonachie, New Jersey. I've never even heard of that place before. But
People haven't heard of most of the cities up here in North Jersey, so don't feel bad about your lack of North Jersey geography, Paul.
Well, we have a really, really great episode tonight. We're actually going to be touching on a subject that Ryan and I are not experts on, even though it is an intro of the SEO ecosystem. There's its own nuances to it, and it's really worth knowing, and you can make a lot of money from it if you're very successful at it, and that's e-commerce, right? It's not just e-commerce SEO, but a lot of the stuff that goes into it. If you ever kind of dabble in that world, there's like different platforms that you can use. Really, if you want to just sell stuff online, how do you set all that stuff up? What should you be using? Where is it going? We're going to delve into all those topics today. We have a really special guest. His name is Sam Page. Sam, you've been working in the industry for over 10 years, head of SEO, right, at Bluehost?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. So, it's a pretty big deal. We'll give a shout out to Bluehost and link to him after the episode. Great hosting company.
Thanks, guys.
Way better than GoDaddy. So we'll just go ahead and get this shitting on GoDaddy out of the way right now.
Do it every once in a while.
Better.
Well, someday we're probably going to have someone from GoDaddy on here, and I'm going to have to eat my words. I know it.
There's still going to be a very talented SEO, I can guarantee it, regardless of the products.
Well, a small story. We did an episode very early on about how we hate pretty much every internet marketing company that starts with a Y. So like Yext or Yahoo or
Yelp.
There's a bunch. Yelp. Yeah, that's right. We hate all of them. And now I have Yext at my current company, and I got like a package for Christmas and stuff with them, and they were like, "Oh, we'll send you some swag to wear." And I was like, "Damn it, I can't wear a Yext T-shirt. I've said too many bad things about you in a public domain. I can't do it." So someday I'm willing to bet GoDaddy it's going to come back to bite me. So as it relates to e-commerce, what do you think the biggest search engines are for that?
Sure. Well, I mean, Google is still one, but I would say the biggest is Amazon. So for sure, people, if they're even researching, if they're ready to buy, if they know what they want, they go on to Amazon to buy first, or they're price checking. Like a lot of people go into stores like Best Buy and then price check against Amazon. So yeah, absolutely, Amazon's number one, and then a distant second I would say is like Walmart and then eBay. But yeah, Amazon's by far the biggest.
Wow. So you think Walmart's is like that much bigger than like its competitors like Target and stuff like that?
Yeah, Walmart really likes to put money behind Walmart Marketplace or Walmart.com. So they're really trying to beef up their presence there and make it a real competitor to Amazon. Right now it's not, but if Walmart's a giant company, so they can sort of force their will into things sometimes. It's bigger than Target for sure.
I can definitely see Amazon being just the alpha and the omega, I suppose, for just e-commerce.
Yeah.
I know personally I'm out in Seattle now, and Amazon, of course, is out there in Seattle. And then you also have mastermind groups and meetups and workshops for e-commerce, which is just e-commerce is almost just synonymous with Amazon itself. And then you see guides online. It's just like how to get rich from Amazon, then how to hack Amazon.
Yep.
So I guess I don't know if we want to get too ahead of ourselves, just being like, where do you get started or anything like that. But if I didn't know much about e-commerce and I want to learn about it, do you start with like learning about e-commerce, or do you start with like the product, or like having a passion for the that you want to sell?
That's a great question. I think you could do it both ways. I think that there's not a really like an optimal way to enter it. If you have a passion for a product, or you're already selling a product, start testing it out online. I think that you can also just start researching and say, okay, I know I want to get into e-commerce, but I don't know the product yet. And you can just start finding what you think might, do some research, find what you think might sell well, what you have access to, what you have specific knowledge on helps. So, if you know something better than other people, most likely you do, kind of go that route and see if you can turn it into a product that can be successful. the whole e-commerce industry is way more mature than it was a few years ago when I started. So I mean, I got lucky to the point where I could just throw things up on Amazon and have some success. Now it's way harder. I think to take a step back too, I think like how you're talking about how they have masterminds and like courses galore for Amazon. One of the things I think you'll see in the next couple of years are courses for Walmart.com.
Really?
Because people, this happens a lot because I do consulting for Amazon sellers, and these guys are like, hey, 99% of my income is coming from Amazon, and I don't want to be held to their whims. Like Amazon can just shut your account down if someone flags you for, fraudulent orders or fraudulent items. Like Amazon just does not care about the sellers. So people get really nervous when they're making, 6-7 figures and it's all tied to Amazon. So they start looking for the next place to go. And Walmart is the obvious next choice, but we'll see how that plays out. But I think you'll start seeing those gurus and course guys coming out of the woodwork for Walmart in the next couple of years.
Just real quick about Walmart. If people are going to be doing that, does that mean that, and I might be just oblivious, it's not really my realm, but does that mean that people can go on and drop their products like they do on Amazon, like Walmart nowadays?
Yeah, pretty much. Like there's a seller application on Walmart, so you can apply to be a seller just like you apply to be a seller on on Amazon. Go through the whole process. It's pretty easy to get approved. So yeah, not too much more difficult than Amazon.
I don't know much about like the algorithm in that and Amazon. I mean, you said like on the early days you could just drop a product in and have an easy time selling it. So how do like the rankings and stuff work within Amazon's algorithm?
Yeah, so their algorithm is not quite as mature as like a Google algorithm, but it's definitely progressing quickly. So the key data points right now for ranking well on Amazon there's really three things. It's sales rank, which is how many sales per day you get. They call it bestsellers rank, and that one can trump pretty much all the others. But the other two are conversion rates. So if your product, if you're selling like dog collars and people type in dog collar on Amazon and you convert at a really high rate, Amazon's going to boost you up in the rankings really quickly. And then thirdly is reviews. So reviews can be like, it's a little bit more controversial if that affects your rankings, but from my anecdotal experience, it does. Like more reviews, the more 5-star reviews you have, the better you tend to rank. But that, again, that could also influence your conversion rate too.
If you're like if you've opened like a new store, you're a new seller, right? And you haven't really built up a lot of like sales. Like how do you really combat some of those metrics? Yeah,
that's what makes it tougher, because back when I started, like really you didn't have to, there weren't people with thousands and thousands of reviews in every single niche. Almost every single niche you get somebody who's got at least 100 reviews or more. So back then you could kind of get by with like having your friend leave a review for you and start the ball rolling that way. Now, Amazon makes it, of course, where you can pay. So the Amazon marketing services is their paid ads, their PPC ads. And so the funny thing about Amazon paid ads is, unlike Google, their paid ads influence the organic rankings. So you can get reviews and you can get conversion rates and bestseller rankings. You can influence all of those three organic metrics by running paid ads. And so that kind of paves the way for people to start out like getting more reviews quickly. We take a step back. So there's two ways to sell on Amazon, really. There's Vendor Central, which is Amazon purchases products from you and then they sell it themselves. And then the other way is a Seller Central account, where it's the more typical one, where you're the one in control of the account and you ship it off when you get sold, or you ship it to FBA. So on the Seller Central account, you can do what's called the early reviewer program, and Amazon charges you $60 a review, and you can get up to 5 reviews for every SKU. So like if you've got a new dog collar and you've got 3 different colors, let's say, and they're all variants on the same listing, you can get 5 reviews for each one of those. So it'll be 15 total reviews. And that's what, I mean, it's $60 a review, so it's not cheap, but Amazon knows what they're doing, trying to.
It sounds like you need to be at least a minimum of like 100, kind of based on off what you're saying for older merchants that have been in there.
Yeah. I mean, it's so nobody wants to be the first person to leave a review, right? It's just weird.
Yeah.
So you can kind of influence too, like how people think about your product when they say, "Oh, this is all 5 stars. This must be a good product, so I'll leave a good review when I buy it." So that's kind of the way you jumpstart it. But the next thing you do to catch up to these 100 review plus products is running the PPC ads, running deals. Like you can do what's called a lightning deal, where you offer it at a steep discount and get a bunch of sales. That also helps your rankings temporarily. If your product sucks, then there's not much you can do. But yeah, if your product sucks, you're going to fight an uphill battle against negative reviews and all of this anyway. So that's something to be aware of going into it.
I've also seen a lot of Facebook groups, and it seems to be managed and also have a lot of members that seem to be overseas, and they kind of coordinate with a lot of people that kind of fill out like a short survey a little bit about them to make sure that they can kind of really leave legit reviews. And a lot of these Amazon shops will actually just send these products for free if they leave a review, and they'll send out like hundreds that way, and then they'll get hundreds of positive reviews just from just offering it for free completely in exchange for a review, or maybe even a video testimonial too.
It's sort of, it's like, actually that's against Amazon's terms of service now. So they don't like to give, it used to be that used to be a really good way to do it. And Amazon changed their terms of service a couple of years ago. If they see on your account that you're refunding or giving a discount to an order on their platform, they totally devalue the review, or they may remove it, or they may flag your account. So if you have like 100 reviews and they're all discounted or free, you're running some risks there.
Yeah, that makes sense, because they have to see on the profile, like obviously this person had to have made the purchase. Otherwise, how can you leave a review on it?
Well, you can like subvert that on those at Facebook groups by paying, like, so they'll ask for like their PayPal email account or something like that, and just pay them through PayPal out of their bank. So
Exactly.
There is always a workaround, and it's always like, how much risk do you want to take on?
A little bit about the Walmart one. I can't imagine that it's anywhere near as sophisticated as Amazon's, but is it sort of like similar ranking factors for there as well?
Yeah, from what I can tell, that's the case. It's actually more heavily towards like reviews. It's pretty obvious, like the lower price and reviews are the bigger ranking factors on Walmart. And it's so like Walmart doesn't offer the early reviewer program or anything like that. They're not quite as finely tuned as Amazon is for the sellers. So there's a couple tricks, like one of the cool tricks now is like you sign up for like one of these review syndication platforms. Power Reviews is one, Bazaar Voice. They syndicate reviews from other websites onto Walmart. So one of those other websites could be your website, and it's up to you how well you monitor the reviews on your website. Without incriminating myself, you can get some really good reviews on your website, and they will also get published and help you rank better on Walmart through one of those syndication platforms.
So let's talk real briefly about kind of like a general barrier of entry when it comes to these things, because it seems like all these platforms are just completely self-sufficient. So do you really need like any association with a website or social media to validate the products, or is like everything you need all centralized completely on your Amazon?
Yeah, I mean, it's not totally necessary. You don't have to have a website to be a successful seller on Amazon or Walmart. In fact, there's quite a few people on there who just don't bother with having a website. I personally would say get a website, be everywhere that your customer might be or might want to find you. It's just, especially if it's as easy as creating a website or starting up another account on eBay or Walmart or wherever. It's just, it's a pretty low effort for potentially good return. Plus, you get the added benefit of diversifying your income streams. As an e-commerce seller, you don't want to be tied into one platform too heavily. And then also, if you go to, like, if your exit strategy is to sell, like you want to sell your e-commerce business, the market, like the multiple you'll get for your business if it's only on Amazon is way lower than if you're doing sales on Walmart, Amazon, eBay, Rakuten, Sears.com, your website. If you have social profiles, like if you're like, make yourself look like a more legitimate business and you'll get the bigger multiples.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense that, I always say like you should do every marketing medium if it can pay for itself. You know what I mean? Like there's no reason to like not, if you can pay for itself and make money at all, then like just absolutely like do it, or at least try it.
Right. Yeah. And you never know, like people might not have, one of my favorite things is on eBay, there's a lot of like Latin American buyers who don't have access to Amazon, but they may see it on Amazon and then they'll go shop for it on eBay and buy it. And you can charge a little bit more because of that.
I didn't know that. Is like Amazon blocked out in like a lot of those countries?
I'm not sure what the deal is, but it just seems like Latin American buyers don't use Amazon to the same capacity that they use eBay. And it seems like there's maybe some purchasing like verification or something that goes through Amazon that they can't do, but they can do on eBay.
So they're price shopping on Amazon, then buying it on eBay. They give them the old Amazon treatment on their own site.
Yeah, it's funny actually, but it's because they can't buy it on Amazon, they'll pay for a little bit more for it on eBay. If you think you want to start selling a product, put it up for like 20% more on eBay, and then just like when you get an order from Amazon, just ship it straight from Amazon to that customer who ordered it from you on eBay, and and you can see what the sales volume is, like what the customers are like. You can kind of like test everything without money out of your pocket, essentially.
Yeah, the concept of that, I believe it's called arbitrage, where you find it somewhere and then for a discount compared to somewhere else where other people are looking, and then you make money off of the difference. Is that actually like a practice that people engage on specifically?
Yeah, for sure. Like I've done it just from Amazon to Amazon. Like one listing on Amazon for a product had way more reviews and ranked better than another listing, and the higher up ranking listing was pricing higher too. So I just arbitraged from Amazon to Amazon. But yeah, there's actually like a program, like there's a couple programs you can buy that find if a product is available for sale on eBay. If it's not available for sale on eBay, but it is available for sale on Amazon, and then it will automatically like list these products for you.
That's pretty fascinating.
You're giving us like all kind, man. This is actually a really bad interview.
Well, almost it's like what happens. Yeah, it's like what happens when you learn something a little bit for the first time. It's like we're sitting here, talking about SEO and stuff, not really applying it to e-commerce. So when we do start talking about high level, it's just like you're just like, man, we should have been doing this forever.
I feel another project for us coming on after this interview.
Another project. Let's take a step back. I know it's the first week of 2020, but you got to reel it in a little bit.
Goals, buddy. You got to have goals.
I got big old goals.
So do you do any work with like, I guess, Alibaba? It's like one of the other major ones, right?
I don't personally mess with Alibaba. If I'm sourcing from China, I usually just go through like a customs broker and a sourcing agent. So I'll ask around for referrals on that. Alibaba and AliExpress, those companies, they're like, it's a lot of work to find a decent product at a decent price that hasn't already been just beaten to hell by these like course guys, Amazon course guys. I just don't mess with it. It's too tough.
Because aren't you like going to a port where like these huge ships are coming in and you have to buy like 4-ton pallets and figure out how to transport them? Or it's just talking about like
sometimes
massive bulk. I remember one time I looked on there and I was like, I like tuna fish, but I don't think I need 4,000 cans of tuna fish because that's the smallest quantity I can get in Alibaba.
That's probably like picking on e-commerce for sure. I think the hardest thing is finding the right product and sourcing it. It is more difficult, especially starting out, because you do have to do, like, a lot of these manufacturers have a minimum order quantity, and it's going to be pretty steep if they're doing a decent job, like, so you have to be prepared to fork over some money, or at least, be ready to take a hit if this product doesn't succeed. So that's why it's nice to do that retail arbitrage and test it out before you sink thousands of dollars or whatever, your entire garage space to this product.
In your guest bedroom, in your neighbor's garage, in your backyard, with the giant tarp. I spoke real briefly about that mastermind group in Seattle, and they were talking about specifically Amazon, and they had this thing, like, everyone in the group, they just had, like, kind of the same connections to China. And as a group, they all source their stuff from, like, the same factories, even though they were different products. And they'd go on trips all together to, like, the same factories in, like, the middle of who knows where in China, and see their products being manufactured in bulk. So
yeah, it's intense. It's intense. Like, I went to Shenzhen for work in China, and it's like, man, they just make everything. Like, the entire city is built around, like, Walmart and Amazon. So it's crazy to see how well suited they are for that.
If you were starting out and you'd never done this before, what would you personally pick to sell?
So I'm really big into tennis. Like, I know tennis pretty well, so I might mess around with some tennis related product. It's tough. Like, I've actually taken a little bit of a hiatus from it because my success on e-commerce is, like, I'm not hitting home runs anymore. So I'm taking a breather. But yeah, I think it'd have to be something that I know, that I have specific knowledge on, that I know something more about than 90% of the population would.
Whenever anyone ever talks about, like, oh, I want to start a blog, what should it be about? And, like, I feel like it should always start with, like, well, something or something you're passionate about, just because the work that kind of goes into it, if you like it, it's less work, it's more like you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
And so you'll kind of have a hard time of, like, getting it done if it's, like, drudgery, right? If it's like CPAP machines, you know what I mean? Like,
CPAP throwback. That's hilarious.
I have tried those.
Like, yeah, you're like, oh, there's just so many different ones, and there's all this specific stuff, and, like, I don't know any of this, like, I'm just piecing information together from YouTube videos I watched, and it's just like it's monotonous and stuff. So, I mean, I think that's excellent advice. Like, kind of start with what you know and what you like, because it's just it's a lot easier to talk about it and to sell it.
I think that's a great analogy, is like starting a blog, right? It's like, you're not gonna, like, it's really tough to rank a blog in Google now, right? It's going to take you a year at least of hard work, and the same thing's going to apply to Amazon at this point in time.
Yeah, so you got to be in it for, like, the long haul, like the days of instant short, make a bunch of money are kind of behind us, particularly in Amazon. Maybe still a little bit there in Walmart, though, right? So.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you know of any kind of emerging platforms other than the ones we've already talked about?
Yeah, I think that there's actually, like, something I'm interested in now is Twitch. So it's owned by Amazon too. So I'm curious to see what Amazon decides to do with Twitch, and, like, the audience on Twitch is, like, 18 to 34-year-old males that are spending, like, hours on it. And this is a really, like, highly sought after demographic for marketers and advertisers. Amazon could definitely turn Twitch into something like potentially like a YouTube rival, or I'm not sure, but, like, it's something that is definitely on my radar. In some ways also, like, TikTok is interesting, but I'm also very hesitant because it's a Chinese owned platform, like, it's a Chinese owned app. Anything like that, like WeChat, like, you're giving up a lot of backdoors, and, like, the data that you're giving up is interesting to, like, what it's getting used for and where it's going is sort of unknown. It's also getting, like, really popular. Like, you hear guys like Gary V, and then his name Gary Vaynerchuk. When he's talking about something, like, it's about time to, like, jump off the train.
Oh, man, I couldn't agree with you more. And like, I get why people like Gary. Like, I get why, because he's a good speaker. He's very like passionate, but I just feel like, oh man, I don't need any more people to tell me like how to get my life together.
Yeah,
Like,
I call Gary V. He's the dubstep of business.
it's like Grant Cardone. It's like the same thing.
Yeah,
it's just
nice.
like
Twitch is interesting because I actually do think it's going to rival YouTube for a couple of reasons. It's nailing an interesting demographic. It's used for streaming content, but primarily gaming, which is really like taking over, and especially with the rise and ascent of esports. And right now, the way that they're doing it is there's not really any products that I see too often, but they certainly do like pro subscriptions and like additional forms of subscriptions, and then also kind of I think subs on like a Twitch streamer to streamer basis too. And some of those people a lot of money. I just don't know yet. I don't know how yet the product aspect, the content aspect is 100% there, but I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting to see how the product aspect might be integrated.
What's kind of weird is like Vimeo like never took off for anything, and it was like a direct competitor for YouTube, and it was like a better platform in a lot of ways, and it just like it's like a wasteland, like I can't remember. I don't really ever remember searching for anything on Vimeo, but it's just like, man, what happened?
Yeah, well, I wonder what the real catalyst is behind that. Like, why didn't Vimeo take off? It really is a good alternative to YouTube, especially now YouTube like censors and demonetizes people left and right. Like, why don't they just go to Vimeo
and like the ad frequency on YouTube now is just insane, compared to like what it used to be. It's like we're watching, Betamax and like VHS happen like again. It's like
I guess it's the network effect of it, right? Just like YouTube is so big, it draws more people and more content, so more people and more content go to YouTube, and like it just compounds into a point where it's like there is no competitor. Like it's like Google, right? Nobody uses Bing hardly.
Yeah, I like was asked from I don't really have clients. I like represent like a larger organization, like a franchise. So I have like franchise owners, and they're like, "Hey, how are Bing rankings?" And I was like, "I don't know. I don't track that. Why would you ask me that?" And then just delete the email. So offended by it. Probably should respond to that email. Actually,
why did they have your email? How dare they?
Yeah, I know. Don't ask me that question ever again.
If someone has a product in mind and they're like, I already know, I'm listening to this podcast right now, I've had this idea forever, let's get going, but it's like, something physical and it's something kind of unique. Like, how does someone kind of go about like getting it drafted or getting it designed and then getting it produced? I mean, that seems like something that would be the biggest barrier.
That's a great question, because I never actually created a product that didn't exist.
Yeah.
What I would do is I would go to like a product sourcing agent, and I'd be like, hey, I want to source a product like this. I would show them the one that already exists, and I would say, I want one like this. I may say I want some different functionality if you can find that, and then they go to China and find the factory that makes that.
Oh, okay. So, well, that's something. I mean, yeah, if you're not designing like the Wizzy Who Diddle that I made up that like needs like a complete unique design because it's going to revolutionize humanity. Like if it's something that's just a new iteration of something that exists.
That's one of the things too, though, is like if you create a new product and nobody knows it exists, like it's really hard to get that to take off. Like I did some consulting for Squatty Potty on Amazon a few years ago before they became like this popular brand, and they were getting some sales, but like they hadn't hit like that insane like threshold where people actually knew what Squatty Potty was. Like nobody knew they needed some thing to sit on, like to put their feet on when they were taking a dump. Everybody's just like, yeah, I go to the bathroom like everyone else. And so, yeah, like when they started doing like heavy advertising and branding and got on Shark Tank, then their business actually took off. But if they didn't do that, they would have been just kind of like hanging out, making a few sales a day.
That makes me wonder, like, what the Poopery. Do you guys know about that product, Poopery?
Yeah, I know very well that product. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like pretty popular there for like a couple of years. I wonder like how long they had it before it was like, oh, we gotta super invest in these marketing campaigns to really like sell it. So like, it's like kind of similar. It's like silly, but all of a sudden it was just like it was like everywhere. Like the ad, I think it was on Ellen or something at some point.
Yeah, and then they got some retail, like they have retail distribution now, so you can find them in like the grocery store.
Yeah, like I think
Yeah,
it's like
I think there's
Walgreens
some level
or
of that.
something. So Amazon definitely the dominant one, as we already talked about. Do you think that's going to continue in the foreseeable future?
Yeah, I mean, for the foreseeable future, yes, for sure, Amazon will be the dominant platform. Long term, definitely see some headwinds against Amazon. I think a lot of e-commerce people are looking for a new platform to sell on because there's a couple reasons. Like, and as a buyer on Amazon, a lot of times I'll buy something and it's like some cheap piece of crap item that like it's like very low quality made. So, sometimes it's like shopping on the dollar store for certain products and you don't realize it. But I think that could potentially cause some heartburn for Amazon in the future too.
Maybe you can tell us like a horror story that's hilarious.
Yeah, no, I've got a product where I've sold a product
Ooh.
that ended up a disaster on Amazon.
Oh, that everyone wants to hear about
I
your
love hearing
failures,
these.
not all your successes.
Yeah, sounds great.
So tell us the worst thing that's ever happened to you in your life, and it doesn't have to be related to marketing.
Don't answer that question.
Yeah.
What the hell kind of podcast is this?
No, I definitely have one in particular that stands out as a cautionary tale. So I was selling this product. It's called a TINS unit. I don't know if you guys are familiar with a TINS unit. It's like sends a little like electrode shock to your body. It's like a massage, or like chiropractors use it. So I was selling this on Amazon, and I was doing within 6 months I was doing like 90 grand a month in sales. So it was like nearly $1 million product really quickly. And like one day a competitor, it was pretty obvious it was a competitor, had bought 25 of these from me. And I was like, okay, whatever. Maybe he's like out of stock and needs to drop ship or something to satisfy some demand. So I shipped him off, and within a week, all 20 or 25 of those orders was flagged as counterfeit, and Amazon just shut my account down immediately, like no questions asked, like goodbye all revenue. And then all the inventory I had in Amazon was stuck. Amazon holds on to your money for like 6 months or something like that after the account's shut down. So I had a good chunk of change just held up. I was like trying to go through the appeals process with Amazon. So they make you write like try to prove that you're not counterfeiting these. So, I mean, how do you prove that you're not counterfeiting something is not an easy task to do. So yeah, I went through the whole process only to find out like that there was no coming back from it. Like Amazon just didn't care about shutting me down. It was just, someone else was going to satisfy that demand. And yeah, so it really burned me. And it was like the first time I saw negative SEO on Amazon be so effective. And I mean, to this day, like it happens all the time. Negative SEO is a huge thing on Amazon.
Yeah, that's like
brutal.
crazy. And the fact that they hold it for like 6 months and like the inventory, you're just like, they're like, they don't care. The only thing I can ever think of that's come close to that is like email marketing like problems where we've sent like the wrong thing and we had to send like not refunds but like coupons to like the people that got it. That was like the equivalent of like $70,000, So
Yeah.
So like an email send ended up being like a $70,000 like issue that we had to like take care of. But
Yeah.
the fact that they hold your money and like all the inventory for like 6 months is crazy to me.
Yeah, it was very stressful, and you learn a lot. It's best to like not be the number one guy, right? Don't rank number one. Rank like number 5 or 7 or something like that. So you're off the radar of these spammer guys or these negative SEO guys, but you're still doing a good amount of money.
And that's good advice right there too. definitely good advice. Do you have, we're wrapping up towards the end here. Do you have any shout outs that you'd like to make?
Yeah, shout out to Bluehost, my full-time gig. I really enjoy working there. It's a good spot. So if you need some hosting or a domain name, go to bluehost.com. But also, I do consulting on my website. It's Amazon SEO experts.com. So you can always stop by there.
Well, Sam, thanks so much for being a guest on our podcast. We'll link to the website in the description if you guys want to check it out. You want to get some expert consulting from Sam Page. Feel free to hit him up. And hey, you know what? I'll go out and just pitch Bluehost too. You know, you want to host something? go to Bluehost instead of GoDaddy.
Don't forget to use promo code Amazon for free premium hosting for 2 years and 5 free domain names.
Well, thank you so much for being on, and I want to thank all of our listeners. We really appreciate you guys. Be sure to like, share, subscribe anywhere that you see it. We don't get any money out of this podcast. We just do it for the likes. That's all. We just want the accolades. That's it. So, we appreciate that. And if you have any questions for us, you can hit us up at seosdeadandotherlies@gmail.com. We respond pretty quickly now that the holidays are over. Or you can leave a comment on our YouTube channel. We have a Twitter that Ryan and I never check, so probably don't even go to that. Or you can go to our website, which is back up after being hacked. But thank you so much for listening. I'm Paul Warren.
And I'm Ryan Klein.
And this has been another episode of SEO is Dead and Other Lies. Bye.
Say bye. Bye, everyone.